What's up, guys? Hank here, back at it again with another episode of Big Blue Avenue. And no, do not even think about adjusting your screen for a minute. Unfortunately, Tom and Sam could not be with us this week. However, filling in for both of them is a face that is very much familiar to Review and Preview, and to myself, of course, because he happens to be my co-host on Game On. That would be the one, the only, the founder of Review and Preview, Johnny Montalbano. Johnny, how's it going?
Hey Hank, I'm doing great. It's let me just say first and foremost, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on a one-team sports show. One of my favorite teams, nonetheless, my New York Football Giants. Honored to say that. Tom, Sam, we miss you guys, but it's an honor and a pleasure to fill in for both of you. I'm doing great, and we were talking about this too. In the 11 years that I've done sports talk, whether it's been on the radio or on social media like we are now, I've never done a one-team sports show. So this is kind of history in the making for me, and to do it with you and to do it about one of my favorite teams. I'm very, very happy. So it's good to be on with you tonight.
Definitely, and we've got a good guest coming up for you guys later. That would be Mike Vivolo of the True Blue podcast, and we've got a comment as well. Tom Scavetta, what's up, guys? Thanks for holding it down tonight. How about Daniel Bellinger for best rookie tight end? Hey, we're definitely going to be getting to him soon, but I think Daniel Bellinger is definitely one of the unsung heroes thus far for the New York Giants.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean, it's definitely been that way. He's not only been the best rookie tight end, he's been one of the best, playmakers on this Giants team through the first 6 weeks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But before we get into any of that, let's time for the plugs as always. Please don't forget to follow us on all of our social medias. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Big Blue Avenue. And of course, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, please don't forget to hit that big red button down below. Give us a like, give us a comment, let us know your thoughts. We want to hear from you guys. And of course, please don't forget to give us a like on Facebook. It helps with the algorithms and it helps with more people being able to watch and reach our show. So in any event, let's get back to another comment here. And James Montefusco, what's up, guys? Big turnaround this year for Big Blue. And, I think this comment is a good segue to get into the preview of this, our takeaways of the New York Giants shocking the Baltimore Ravens 24-20. And, I'm going to start off with my first takeaway of the show. And that is that Brian Daboll is definitely the front runner for Coach of the Year. He's 5-1, best start by a new coach since Dan Reeves, who also, I believe he started with that similar record in 1993. And matter of fact, it's also the best record they've had through 6 weeks since the 2009 season. So a turnaround is definitely in the works.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. I even go back to the very first week of the season, Hank, and I just think of it when you're talking about Daboll, when Daniel Jones made that very unfortunate interception in the end zone, that bad pass that he was trying to make to Saquon. And if you saw Daboll, go up, you saw on the broadcast, you saw him go up to Jones, he seemed like he was very angry, saying like, "What are you doing?" Putting his arms out in the air. And I think from that moment on, I loved Daboll. I mean, I liked the move when they got him in the first place, but from that moment on, it just seems that like Daboll's just getting more likable, and it helps that this team's 5-1, but he's doing all the right things so far, and everything's been working. So absolutely, Daboll's got to be Coach of the Year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I mean, let's be honest, you and I can both say this. Is this the most talented team right now out there? No, but he's definitely getting the best out of all these guys, and it's definitely showed.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And of course, I don't really think it's just him. I think it's the other members of the coaching staff too.
Oh, absolutely.
Mike Kafka has definitely been doing a decent job at the play calling for the most part. And Wink Martindale has put up a really good defense. And yeah, it really makes you think, why on earth would the Ravens even get rid of this guy a year ago? And you really look at the reason why they collapsed. I never really thought he was the problem to begin with. The problem was they just had a lot of injuries, but that's a discussion for another day. More importantly, I'm glad he's on our side.
Absolutely. And Hank, you know this too. We've spoken about this many a times. the Wink Martindale signing was the perfect kind of guy that the Giants needed as a defensive coordinator, because one of the things the Giants never did defensively was blitz, and ever since he's come here, it seems like they do that, and they do it effectively, and it contributes to them winning games. I mean, and also it's not like they're giving up a ton of points in these first 6 weeks.
Now, of course, the other key takeaway for me has to be the quarterback. Daniel Jones continues to put the Giants in a position to win, and he continues to make a lot of the winning plays and lead this team to comeback victories. I mean, Johnny, we ready for a fun fact? So,
Yes.
First few years that Daniel Jones has been on the Giants, he's had only 3 comeback wins. This year alone, he's matched that.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, mind you.
Right, and when they're down by 10 points too, 10 plus points too, and they're coming back. You got to love the fact that even in the fourth quarter in these games, and I kind of actually was feeling that even on Sunday, that they're not really out of it, because even when they're down, they're not allowing the opposition to expand on the lead. And Daniel Jones, like you were saying, Jones, let's be fair here, he's not making mistakes. He's putting them in positions to win. So absolutely. I mean, he's definitely limited the mistakes, which you've got to love, now this being his 4th year plus. So you're hoping he wasn't going to make those rookie mistakes, and he's definitely improved week to week. And that performance 2 weeks ago in London and last week have been some of his best football, not only of the season, but of his career.
Yeah, definitely. And, now you're having more people that are probably leaning towards the positive side of the debate as to whether or not he is the franchise quarterback. And Johnny, I'm going to be honest. I think that he very well could be here for a long time to come. Now, whether he's elite or not, time will tell. But the fact of the matter is, and one of the reasons we've been praising Brian Daboll a lot over the past 6 weeks of the season is because he is finally helping to put Daniel Jones in an environment and a system where he can succeed. And you also have to give credit to Joe Schoen for drafting the good players around him. But Daniel Jones has definitely been emerging as somebody who very well could have a clutch gene. And what no one really thinks about is the Giants have actually gone 8-3 in his last 7 starts. This, of course, dates back to last year before he's had his injury. And I know if Tom were here right now, he would probably be right there with me in defending of Daniel Jones. He and I have often been supporters of him for better or for worse. And obviously for the first years, it's mostly been worse. But this year, I think you're definitely starting to see a turnaround, and you're finally really seeing the potential that we've really been talking about for so long.
Yeah, and it's not just been a couple of weeks like this. It's been the whole entire year with Jones. And this was really you were going to this year with a lot of question marks about him. But I think more and more you're finally seeing that he definitely can be the answer. Because really, your other options really out there are, let's be fair, this Giants team is going to be too good to have a high draft pick. So I don't think you're going to be going into the draft for a QB. So really, your only other option would have been probably sign a short-term veteran backup. And I think that they're finally doing this right. They're in the right system now. Jones seems to be healthy. He's got a great offensive line, which helps as well with Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal. Another great draft selection for the Giants so far. So, yeah, all the pieces are coming together here for the Giants in the first 6 weeks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a few more comments from Christopher Delorier. What's up, boys? Let's go Big Blue.
Thank you. That's right,
comments,
Chris.
Christopher. Folks, please keep the comments coming. We want to keep hearing from you guys, and we would love to interact. You guys are just as much a part of the show as we are. And so now let's get to my other takeaways. Obviously, it goes without saying, Jones also pretty much outplayed Lamar Jackson in this comeback. But now, obviously, we got to talk about the defense. And Julian Love picked a great time to secure the Giants' first interception of the season. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him a little bit later, because I think, spoiler alert, you probably know where this is going if you're very familiar with this show. But Julian Love, suffice it to say, has been one of the more versatile players on the Giants. But in addition to that, there are the other big takeaway for me is that the rookies have pretty much been playing a huge role for the Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, and Belton. And let me give you a little bit of stats for Kayvon Thibodeau. In his last 3 games, he had 10 tackles, 1 sack, 13 pressures. And, if you look at Kayvon Thibodeau's numbers from his time at Oregon, this is a guy who actually consistently gets better during the second half. In fact, he actually had more sacks in the second half of his senior year with the Oregon Ducks. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do during the second half of the season. But it's really been impressive to see all these rookies contribute. And as Tom mentioned with Daniel Bellinger, this guy has been by far the best of the rookie tight ends, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no way around it. He's definitely been up there, and the whole Giants draft class has been a big part of this success too. You don't get to 5-1 or start this way without your entire team contributing, and really, it's also not at full strength either. So, but definitely, your draft selections have so far been hitting home runs. Thibodeau, who's only been getting better with every game, it seems like. Evan Neal, whose name we seem to talk about a lot, whether it's been helping out with Jones or helping out with Saquon Barkley even. So he's definitely helped in a lot of ways. And now you're seeing Bellinger getting a lot involved in the offense a lot, which is great. It was great to see Wan'Dale back out there getting his first touchdown. So, it's not something that we've been having to say a lot these last few years, but the Giants drafting has been spot on this year.
And again, you got to give credit where credit is due to Joe Schoen. And I have to ask you the next question for the next takeaway. Would you consider the Giants a legit football team? In addition, obviously right now they're still on a 3-game win streak. And during this win streak, they have beaten the likes of a Green Bay Packers team with Aaron Rodgers. And we could talk about his health all you want, but that's still an impressive win. And then you come back against a team that, a lot of people thought were going to be much better. Now, again, granted, the Ravens have had a habit of blowing a lot of second half leads this year. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. The players have been making the plays to put them in a position to win. And you know what? Credit to Daniel Jones. He's putting the Giants in a position and he's helping them to capitalize on this. And if you look at the remaining schedule, they have games against the Jaguars, which, again, we're going to be talking about a little bit later. They have the Seahawks, the Texans, and the Lions. Those are all very winnable games. Now, of course, I'm not going to get greedy. I personally wouldn't be surprised if the Giants somehow found a way to lose one of those games. I mean, look, every football team will have those moments. It happens, but you have to like the position they're in. And not to mention, they have also beaten the teams of the last 3 league MVPs over the past few weeks.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it. So to answer your question, do I think that the Giants are a legit football team? I do, because of what they've been doing with the talent that they have and stuff, and it's just if you watch the games through 6 weeks, Hank, and I know we do, we break down every minute of every game. This is a legitimate 5-1. All the notion out there that the Giants are the worst 5-1 team, they shouldn't be 5-1 or they're lucky to be 5-1. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. If you've been watching, have they been the best for all 60 minutes? No, but if you go back and look at every single game, they have been in all these games. It's not like they're getting blown out. They're getting production from pretty much every part of this team. If you think about it, offense, defense, special teams, this is a legitimate 5-1 team. And now we'll see if as the time goes on here. Yes, the schedule is favorable. I'm expecting that there might be a reality check at some point, but at the same time, you look at what's been going on here. It's been the entire team in all facets that's gotten them to this point.
Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. And now I think it is time to reveal, as is our tradition after talking about our takeaways, the player of the week. And, there were a few guys that I think you could argue were very much worthy of winning this. I think you could make the case that Daniel Jones was big. However, ultimately, Tom, Sam, and I, we all talked about this after the game, and we came to the consensus that our player of the week is none other than Julian Love. And Johnny, first of all, do you agree with this selection?
Yes, I do agree with it. I think I mean, it's hard to pick a player of the week, Hank, but Julian Love would be right up there with in my selection too.
So let me read off his stats and some of the reasons why we all came to the consensus that he was the player of the week. He had 5 tackles, 2 passes defended, including one in the end zone that was probably a game changer, as well as the pick, which, again, also a game changer because it helped set the Giants up and they capitalized in victory. And this year, in all the games he's played, he's had 41 tackles, 3 of them for a loss, 1 sack, a forced fumble, the pick that I mentioned, and 2 passes defended. And he also leads the Giants in tackles for the season. He, as you know, he was a 4th-round pick out of your Fighting Irish and Tom's Fighting Irish as well, I should mention. He also was graded 86.3 on PFF. And of course, the other reason, in short, why we picked him was because he showcases versatility by lining up on the defensive line, in the box, at free safety, slot corner, and at the outside corner. Johnny, like I said, Julian Love is one of the more versatile players on the team, and because he made the big plays that like ended up leading to Daniel Jones throwing the 2 touchdowns that led to the Giants comeback, I think that's why we named him as our player of the week.
Yeah, it's a great choice, and that last point, that last bullet point on that graphic there, Hank, is so important. And I love players that can be versatile in any sport. And in football, if you can be versatile in whether it's offense or defense in this case, I mean that's extra special. And to be that effective in all those positions is great. It's needed. So yeah, that's definitely a great thing to see here with Love for sure. You know what? No pun intended when I say this. I love it.
I mean, look, you know I'm not like I will never say no to a good pun / dad joke, but let's talk about some of the transactions from week 7. So we talked about the Giants being a legit football team, and now they're in the top 5 among the NFL power rankings. I think definitely that's a good thing because it just goes to show you the comebacks that they've had. And I think people are now really starting to respect the Giants. I mean, again, granted, this isn't a roster that you're going to look up and be wowed at, but still very impressive nonetheless. And some key moves that they have made during the week. They have signed wide receiver Marcus Johnson off the practice squad, and he is now back on the roster. And they have also signed veteran offensive tackle Corey Cunningham to the practice squad, in addition to tight end Lawrence Cager. And they have released rookie tight end Austin Allen from the practice squad. So those are really all we need to mention for the week 7 transactions. And now, of course, I think it's about time to start previewing the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And obviously, as usual, you guys know me. I'm like a big history buff when it comes to both football and the New York Giants. I do want to mention the history between them, even though there aren't really that many connections besides one significant one that I will get into shortly. So Jacksonville, of course, leads the all-time series at 4-3. The Giants also have never won a game in Jacksonville. In fact, they're 0-3 on the road, but then 1-4 3-1 at home, rather. Jeez, I can't even talk right now. Their last win, actually, against the Jaguars was, if I remember correctly, it was late in the 2010 season. They had a good comeback win in the 4th quarter. And obviously, the last game that these two teams even played against each other was during the 2018 season. That was actually week 1 where Saquon Barkley actually made his debut, and he scored a touchdown. The Giants ended up losing that game 20-15, and it wasn't one of Barkley's best games, but that touchdown was a pretty big gain and one that really helped him make his stats look a little bit better.
I remember that too. Yeah, that's definitely something. But yeah, there's not obviously with the whole AFC NFC thing, it hasn't been a long history between these two teams. But I do remember that one with Barkley, because that, I remember saying at that time that touchdown was like you felt pretty confident that Barkley was going to be a good player for this team. Now, of course, he had a great rookie year. Injuries have plagued him the last couple of years, but so far this year, I mean, he's definitely bounced back and become the Barkley that we thought we were going to have for a few years now. And again, it helps that you have a very good offensive line, which has been helping him to run. But yeah, for sure.
So we have a few more comments. Chris says, I see Joe signing DJ to a 2 or 3 year deal, maybe $15 million per year as a prove-it deal. If he stinks next season, you go after a quarterback in the draft. He won't be making starter money and can help the young quarterback learn the system. And I think that's an interesting point. I mean, look, we'll probably cross that bridge when we get there. But at the same time, if Daniel Jones really is still your franchise quarterback within a few years, then maybe that's not such a bad problem to have. I mean, look at what the 49ers did, taking Trey Lance while still having a capable, I guess you could say, backup in Jimmy Garoppolo. But either way, he could learn out of the system. And I don't think Daniel Jones is going to mind taking a smaller deal, money wise. Cause we know Daniel Jones seems to really love playing for the Giants. He's a real team leader. And I can definitely see him being a guy that really helps out one of the younger players. So that's an interesting comment.
Yeah, and the more that I think about it too, Hank, you look at these other teams that are going to probably be going for a quarterback that are going to be worse, probably going to end up with a worse record than the Giants. They're going to go draft a QB come draft time, because the draft class, and I know it's very early to look at this, but the draft class this upcoming season is very quarterback heavy. So I think if you do need a quarterback, you're going to be more likely to go into the draft and get one than signing somebody like a Daniel Jones, who let's be honest, the jury's still out on him, but in the right system, I think he can be successful. I think that's something that you and I have been saying for forever now. If he's in the right system, he can be a successful guy. He doesn't have to be a franchise Hall of Fame guy to be successful. As long as he's in the right system, that's really all you're asking for. And that's what I think you've been seeing here these first 6 weeks for sure.
And Deception says, evening, fellows. Thank you for tuning in. Like that username, actually. And
I do, yes.
Nice use of the numbers right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely an interesting matchup. And look, if you believe in Dew, I think definitely it might be possible that they finally get that first win in that city. But another thing, of course, is the Giants are entering this game as 2.5-point underdogs. Johnny, what do you make of this? Do you think that this is a sign of disrespect? Or do you think that the odds makers are probably giving the benefit of the doubt to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags? Because the Jags, to me, showed some signs that they can be a better team and they probably can compete. But the problem was, I think, some of the coaching decisions that Doug Peterson's made in some of the games haven't really necessarily helped them. And also Trevor Lawrence, I still needs another year or so to prove that he really is the franchise quarterback, but he's shown some signs of decency and greatness.
He has. And if you've seen the Jaguar games this year, Hank, they were pretty good against Washington there that first week, and Washington came back late. In the games that the Jaguars have lost here, I mean, they do have a quality win against the Chargers. I don't care if it was a banged up team or not. It was a very quality win. Their defense was great. They didn't play that bad against the Eagles. You remember they jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead, but I think that also shows you how great Philadelphia is. But even their loss against Houston, which was an ugly, low-scoring game, they still weren't playing that bad, and they did show some moments against the Colts last week. It is a sign of disrespect, but I also at the same time can see why, because they also are giving you that, if you're like a 3-point or less favorite at home, it's basically showing you because you're the home team in that spot. That's why. The line's a little bit surprising. I do think it's a little bit of a sign of disrespect because the Giants also do have some very quality wins too this year in the early going, but I think it's more of a sign. Let's put it this way. If you stuck these two teams at a neutral site, let's say if you're going to London even, if you're playing this game in London, who would be the favorite? I think you would have to give the Giants. The Giants, I would say, would be like a 2-point favorite. So I think just because Jacksonville is the home team on Sunday, I think that's why they are the favorite. I think, though, I disagree with it. I do think the Giants are the better team and they should be the ones that are laying 2.5 in this spot.
And, so it begs the question, can Big Blue go on and continue their winning ways? And, well, hey, Tudo, I hope you're right. Giants will win Sunday, and we say forget about it. Sounds
that would
like
be
a true
awesome.
New Yorker.
Yeah, I think, one of the keys to this matchup really is going to be, can the Giants get to Trevor Lawrence and, continue how they've been playing the defensive ways, and trying and blitzing Lawrence. I think that's a very important thing when you look at it. Trevor has that ability to roam around. I mean, he's got some good running backs. I mean, he's got a good receiver there in Christian Kirk, and he's definitely showed some moments this year. So trying to put pressure, I mean, that's really what it always starts in the trenches. And if you can get to the QB and pressure him, you've seen it. The Giants been doing this a lot the last couple of weeks, with an Aaron Rodgers, with Lamar Jackson. So that's going to be a very important factor in this game for sure.
Absolutely. And there is one other storyline that I do need to mention going into this game, and this isn't somebody on the Jacksonville Jaguars side. I mentioned that they have a different coach, one that I think is definitely an upgrade over the last one they had. Not that that's exactly a very high bar. I mean, it's tied for the same amount of wins as that coach. But in any event, they did hire a guy who's won a Super Bowl. He has some experience, obviously, with his time in Philadelphia. But incidentally, I'm sure you probably remember what happened the last time the Giants went up against Doug Peterson. That was, I believe it was the Week 17 matchup between Philadelphia and Washington. And Doug Peterson came under fire in that game because he had a starting quarterback, but then he benched him. And I can't remember, but I think they who it was that ended up starting in the second half. But essentially, he was accused of throwing the game essentially for the Philadelphia Eagles and letting Washington win the game, which they needed to win that division. If you remember, that was, of course, when it was the NFC least and the Giants were 6-10. But there also were so many Giant fans complaining about how they got screwed and whatnot, and how Philadelphia should have been trying harder to win that game. I have my own opinions about that. I think Doug Peterson, as much as you hate that he started his third string quarterback during the second half of that game, and as much as you hate to see tanking, Doug Peterson was also within his rights to do what he wanted in this game. So that's one thing I wouldn't complain about. And also looking back at that Giants season, there were at least 2 or 3 losses that had they gone any other way, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
That's absolutely right. I remember them quite well, for sure.
Particularly a certain game where a certain former Giant who's now on the Jaguars had a critical dropped pass that still gives me nightmares.
Oh, yes. And I forgot that this is also the, dare I say, the Evan Ingram revenge game happening on Sunday for sure. By the way, if you remember in the preseason, you saw in training camp how Ingram had a couple of drop passes there in training camp. Look, I mean, we all like to talk about the drops with Ingram, and he also did have some great moments here with the Giants too. I mean, he was pretty good, but of course, all those drops and at the most critical times too. That's really what you remember him for. But yeah, it's definitely going to be the Evan Ingram revenge game down there in Jacksonville on Sunday.
What is he saying? Hank, unfortunately, I won't be able to watch the Giants live game on Sunday because my rugby team are also having a match. I'm a defensive power back. Oh, wow. Good for you.
Oh,
Best of luck to you in the rugby match.
Yes, that is awesome. Good luck with that.
All right. And our guest, Mike Vivolo, should be hopping on at any moment, but I'm going to continue to talk about this game. So last week, the Jaguars had a game against the Colts in Indianapolis. That was a rough 34-27 game where Trevor Lawrence had 20 completions for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, only 2 incompletions. But unfortunately, even though he got that in that late touchdown, they ended up blowing that lead. Travis Etienne had 10 rushes for 86 yards. And the Jaguars actually outrushed the Colts 243 to 45. And yet, because their defense just had trouble coming up with a stop, they could not win that game. And by the way, as far as Evan Ingram goes, he actually had 5 catches for 40 yards. So, as I said, this was another game where the Jacksonville Jaguars essentially lost a close one, but showed a little bit of potential to where they can be good in a few years, but it just doesn't look to me like they're quite ready yet.
Yeah, I think it'll come a time, but I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, one of the other reasons why I think the Jaguars are trending in the right direction here is a guy you just brought up there, Travis Etienne. Trevor Lawrence's teammate over there at Clemson, and if you remember last year, he got hurt in the very first preseason game and missed the entire season last year. So him in the backfield, I think, helps out too. And now you have Ingram at the tight end spot to go along with their big free agent signing in Christian Kirk, and so you see, and then. They also do have some good players on defense as well, including Walker. They are going in the right direction. See, the thing that also works for the Jaguars' favor here is that division. The AFC South has, it's not really taken off now. It's got a couple of winning teams now with the 3-2-1 Colts and the Titans, who are going to play a critical game on Sunday. But the Jaguars, they are trending in the right direction. They have the right head coach there in Doug Peterson. So they are going to be a sneaky team. I actually am a little nervous about going down there to Jacksonville this week because they are a decent team. It's not like they're playing bad. They've been in every game for the first 6 weeks. So I'm expecting, the way the Giants play, the way the Jaguars play, how the Giants don't blow anybody out, but also don't get blown out. It's the same thing with Jacksonville. This could come down to who has the ball last, and hence why we have a small spread as well. But I think we're going to be in for a very entertaining, close game down here on Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. It should be very interesting, and I can't wait to see how this plays out. And yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think the Giants definitely will probably have their hands full because, as we said, this is a very young Jaguars team, and they're trying pretty hard to get some close wins. And we got a few more comments actually. We're 6-3 this season in Super Rugby League, the big boys. Last year, we made it to the quarterfinals. 3 years ago, our team was among the worst. Hey, speaking of turnarounds, I mean, hey, this shows you're talking about a really good turnaround. And says he grew up in Jersey, diehard Giants fan, graduated from Rutgers. Hey, good for you, man.
Scarlet Knights, very cool.
But yeah, we will continue to preview this game as we are waiting on Mike Vivolo to hop on this stream. But in any event, let's talk about some players to watch. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is one of them. He has a 65.5% passer rating, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And he's been saying that the Jaguars need to execute.
Yeah, you're looking at Lawrence, though, and he's definitely been making some improvements. I mean, you finally saw it in that Week 18 game last season that he definitely was – he looked like he finally got comfortable there. And you're looking to go into this season, another year under his belt, finally with a legitimate head coach. It definitely looks like he's definitely taken some good next steps. But that's why I think it's very important to try and get to him. I think that's going to be a very, very big key in this game on Sundays to try and get pressure to him and make him feel uncomfortable. That I think is a very, very big thing because if he steps in there and looks comfortable, he can make some very accurate throws and expose you.
All right. Now, without further ado, let's bring on our special guest for the night, Mike Vivolo. Mike, how's it going, man?
Yeah.
Good to see you again. It's going pretty good. I believe this is now your 3rd appearance on our show. Unfortunately, we don't have Tom today like the last few times that we saw you, but at least now you're not in the car. Whereas last time, I remember you went up and met Odin. No?
Anytime.
We're having a little bit of a connection issue there with him.
Oh, boy. Yeah, this is a rough one. Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm going to restart on my my computer because I might have some phone issues.
Oh, okay. No problem. We'll bring you back as soon as possible.
All right. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. In any event, let's get to another comment. If Aziz comes back this week, I love our matchup on the edges. If we can get Prince Charming rattled early, we can make this an easy win. I love that comment, by the way.
Yeah, and that's a guy, Aziz Ojulari, that, you know what, he's hasn't really been in the lineup this year. And I think that just also shows you just how remarkable the start is, because they haven't really had their full complement of players, especially on the defensive side, through these first 6 weeks, and they're still getting the job done on defense. If you add Ojulari into that mix, I mean, I think this defense has the potential to only get better.
Oh, for sure. And let's bring up Tudo's comment. I was 11 years old when the Giants drafted JPP. Oh, that's making me feel old, because I was like probably in like middle school or something, and I was learning and working out with him and Coach Spags. They've been my mentors, big brothers, and grateful to them for life. Again, salute. Awesome.
Yeah, and you know, you want to talk about JPP and you want to talk about, you know, Giants history. This was something I was trying to I forgot to bring up earlier with you. A little bit of a fun fact here too. So
Let's
the
hear it.
2022 Giants, you know, they've won 3 games this year after trailing by 10 plus points, which is tied for the most in a single season in their franchise history. The other 3 seasons they did so: 2016, last playoff appearance; 2011, when they won Super Bowl 46; and 2007, when they won Super Bowl 42.
Yes, I did see that. And I think you actually brought that fun fact up on Game On, I believe. No?
Yes. But I had to share the love here for us Giants fans to just, you know, take this all in and be very, very happy about the start that we're in. But yeah, so this is kind of an important game though, because, you know, you go to 6-1 and then you go to Seattle after this week, and you know, the Seahawks, who have been a very sneaky team through the early going, and you go up there in a very tough place to play. I feel like you really want to try and get this one, and then you maybe have a little bit of leeway going up to Seattle as well. But this is going to be very, very important, because, you know, the Jaguars, despite their 2-4 record, Hank, you know, they've got some players on both sides of the ball that you've got to watch here. You've spoken about the offensive players, but as far as the defensive players go, you know, they've also got good pass rushers in Josh Allen and Walker, their first-round draft picks. So, you know, key players on both sides of the ball if you're the Giants that you have to keep an eye on for heading into Sunday.
Absolutely. And I think a few other guys that we didn't mention, Devin Lloyd, who on the season has 56 tackles, 6 passes defended, and 2 interceptions. Definitely want to be careful if you're throwing the ball in his direction. And, of course, another key member of the secondary, Andre Cisco, who has 2 interceptions. And this is actually a player that Tom likes.
Yeah, it definitely is. And so this is not going to be, you know, in years past, it almost would feel a little bit more comfortable, but it's not going to be as easy as I think. I think this game is really going to come down to a last second stand. And, you know, one of the other things too, like we've, you know, if you've been watching the Giants this year on defense, you know, they've been able to get off the field on 3rd down. That's something that in years past, you know, we've been watching, and it's like they just can't get off the field. And that, I think, helps the defense out, that they don't have to stay out there on the field for extra long periods of time.
All right, let's try this once again. And I think he has better connection based on what I'm seeing backstage. Let's bring on the one, the only, Mike Vivolo. Vivs, how's it going?
Yo, fellas, awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite. Love talking to you guys. Love you representing the double deuces up there, Leach and Jeter. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
Hey, those are the greatest players to wear that number in New York history. I actually have I've got a Mark Messier jersey there, but you can't really see it in the background and some other ones. But
well,
yeah, as you can tell,
I know it's not a Rangers show right now, but that maybe in a couple months we'll be having the same conversation about how awesome the Rangers are.
Oh, dude, I already have high hope for them. Trust me. But in any event, let me get to a few comments. Tudo says, Hank, also Clay Matthews Jr. of USC, learning edge rush and power blitz techniques from them, but I'm a 4th generation pro rugby player. Again.
Yeah.
And Deception goes, is Walker
that was a picture of me, by the way, that icon. That was me.
Oh, that was you.
That guy's avatar. No, I'm kidding, but he was all like Diesel.
But Deception, who, again, I love that username. Is Walker a legit pass rusher, or is he more suited for run defense and edge setting? That was an unplanned question, but Mike, I'll let you take this one first.
Who are we talking about?
Walker on the Jaguars.
I don't really know much about the Jaguars D. They're up and down. They've played close games, right? For the first 2 weeks of the season, I was like, oh shit. I thought this was a W, like leading up, and then I saw what they were doing. I was like, oh, them and the Lions both. I was like, crap, we got to deal with these teams that I thought were going to be easier games. So now we have to go. Now we have to go down there and see what they're about. I think they've come back down to earth, defensively and offensively as well. But as long as we have, listen, we have possibly the best left tackle in the game right now. Neal has showed improvements as well week to week. Some real good stuff. Bellinger has showed what he can do in helping out, blocking on either side, on the strong side. So, they got their hands full. I would say that the Jacksonville has their hands full with what we do, and we're deceptive. We have the best, most dynamic running back in the game, so we're going to keep them on their toes. We got a healthy ankle on Daniel Jones, and he's gonna, they're gonna use him the right way and use his legs. So there's a lot of deception there. I think that the Jones is still a little shaky in the pocket when it's a pure pass, so that could get a little interesting. But so was Eli Manning. Eli Manning for his first, however, he was going down. He would get blown down. He would just blow on him, and he would go down on purpose. So you see, the theme of this conversation is going to be the coaching, right? Like, the coaching has come in and done great things with the talent that they have, and put these talented guys in positions to succeed, and that's why we're seeing these W's. So I don't know. Was this question about Walker? Well, he's going to get blocked by a new revamped O-line. He's going to, if he starts giving us trouble, I'm sure they will adjust and action the other way. So get to see. I'm not going to pretend I know all about this guy and what is his strength, but I know he was a legit prospect when he came out.
By the way, unfortunately, is now 3-0 Houston Astros. Alex Bregman just hit a home run, and yeah, not good. Let's move on to some more comments, and obviously, it's only fitting that I give this comment to this Tom Scavetta comment here. This might be our toughest game over the next 4 weeks. Now, Vibs, if you see that name and that name's familiar, Tom, of course, is the main host of this show, but unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts, he was unable to make it for this episode. But we want to say once again, Tom, we miss you and can't wait to have you back on next week. And I'm sure Tom has some very fond memories of when you and I and him talked, and you were on your way to meeting OJ Anderson, by the way.
Yeah. All right, Tommy. Good. How are you, man? Good to thanks for sending that message. Love coming on your guys' show. OJ's coming right here to my house a week from today. We're gonna have dinner here at my house, and then we're gonna go to my kids' football practice. He's gonna talk to the team.
That is amazing, and yeah, I love how every single episode we've been on, it seems like OJ Anderson somehow gets into it. But
I mean, listen, he's become a friend, so we get to do things like that.
It's amazing. It's great when you. It's great when you make connections with a lot of these legends.
Yeah, and the legends, even the guys that are now legends, like Super Bowl 42, 46 guys who are all done playing. Some of them hang around. I had Manningham come over for dinner a couple of months ago, as well, and he hang around with my kids and film the football and stuff. So in the area, you guys should do it too. Like there's charity events, and there's things where you can connect with these people and get to know them and help them out, and they can help you out. But as far as the question about the toughest game in the next 4 weeks, when do we play the Seahawks?
After this game, week.
That's on the road.
I think might be a tougher game because we got to get Seattle, and they're putting up points. Gino and them they're putting up points, so that I think could be tougher. I'm just not that scared of Jacksonville, man. I'm just not that scared of them. I think that what's really crazy? The parity in football has grown. There's so many teams that are so similar. The phrase "any given Sunday" is so true. nowadays. Like, are we the Bills and the Chiefs? No. But there's only really a couple teams that are like these upper echelon teams. The Bills, the Chiefs, I might put the Eagles there. I don't really think the Vikings are so explosive. I really don't think the Cowboys are so great. Like, it's Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, and and then everyone else. And that's why you see the Jets at 4-2, the Giants at 5-1, Minnesota at 5-1. See these weird, these. So I think it's any given Sunday. Why not? I have a complete confidence in Jacksonville. I'm astonished that we're 3-point dogs or 3.5 points, depending on what site or where you go. That is crazy to me because they're 2-4. Like, what kind of? It's amazing that we're still not getting the respect.
Yeah, Mike, I was just actually saying that to Hank earlier. I mean, if you look at Jacksonville's games this year, they've actually, kind of like the Giants, they've actually been in every one of the games. But I think the difference is the Giants have been able to close out games and come back, and Jacksonville has not. But they do have a quality win. I know the Chargers were banged up when they played them, but still, nevertheless, they played a very quality game there. They actually jumped out to a quick lead against the Eagles, but I think it also shows you how great Philadelphia is. So in some ways, actually, the two teams can be kind of similar, but I think the difference is the Giants' coaching and the ability to finish games, and their ability to do that, and Jacksonville's inability to do that has been a difference. So that's why I actually think this game is going to be really close. But speaking about the Giants here, just for a second, one of the big question marks going into the season was about Daniel Jones, and you've seen now what the Giants have been able to do, what he's been able to do. They've had 3 games this year where they've trailed by 10 plus points, and he's been a big reason why the Giants have been able to come back and win. So what is your thoughts about Jones? If you think he can be the answer, the future for this team going forward for years to possibly for a few years to come?
You see, I mean, it's tough. Most of me I want to say yes, but ultimately to win a championship at this level right now, or what the game has become, you either have to be a Tom Brady-esque, mentally awesome leader, and then also have the amazing defense that Tampa had and Peyton Manning had with Denver, right? If you're not going to be, or you have to be a ridiculously explosive offense. I mean, those are our only 2 choices for the Super Bowl. That's just how it works. Mm-hmm. So which one of those do you guys think we're going to be able to fall in? To me, it might be the defensive side of things, and try to game manage, do the best you can. Right now, right, we're a rushing team and a very, very poor passing team. That's not going to hold up when you go to the Super Bowl against the Bills or the Chiefs. That's just not going to, right? It's just not going to hold up. So what does everyone believe about him? Tag him? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with him? Long-term contract? I don't know. I really don't know. He's like that anomaly because the team is so young. And I'll tell you this much. We all know this. 5-1 changes everything. But Jesus, we're 5-1. We have almost some kind of, I don't want to say clear path because I'm an optimist, to 10 double-digit wins, right? What are you going to do with this guy off a double-digit win season? Not to say he's not capable of leading a team. So it could be very, very interesting. I don't know. You guys probably know better than me what kind of money we can afford to pay him, but we're going to most likely tag Saquon at this rate, so we can't probably tag Daniel Jones. I don't know, but that's my answer. Like, maybe tag him and pay Saquon. Try to figure out work something short-term deal with him, because you can probably get Saquon cheaper and for a short amount of years. You tag Daniel Jones, take another flyer on him, and see if you expand his offense. See if he can do it. That could be, but it's very interesting, right? It's a very interesting anomaly we're facing with him.
It is, but I tend to think that you have to take that risk with Daniel Jones if, let's say, he keeps up this pace for the rest of the season, because again, this is only a short sample size.
Are you going to sign him, Hank? Are you going to sign this dude? You're going to give him what are you going to give him?
I know, but that's a thing. But I also wouldn't be surprised if, say, Daniel Jones took like a lesser amount of money, because he seems like that kind of guy that's like willing to like take one for the team and help out the other guys. And let me go back.
You think he's going to be able to go and get more money somewhere else?
I don't know though. That's the thing.
That's the thing. So it'd be very interesting. I think Saquon is my. I see Saquon as a big part of the Daniel Jones this also because of our offense, because of we're in cap hell and we're going to need to somehow pay these guys. So I think you could probably get Daniel Jones for cheaper on the dollar, as they say, as a quarterback position, than you obviously can get Saquon at the running back position. So it could be you could be right. I mean, maybe you take that risk because you can get him for a good price.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that's really that have been my biggest takeaways is that pretty much a lot of the younger players have shown some progress. In particular, for me, Kayvon Thibodeau has really gotten better over the course of the past few weeks, and I only think he's going to do better in the second half. So if you look at his numbers from Oregon, he actually had really good numbers in the second half of his seasons, and he seems like a guy who just gets better in crunch time. But I think some of the unsung heroes to me are Evan Neal, who really showed some progress this past week, and as Tom pretty much has been talking about with me a lot, like whether it be through text or on this show, Daniel Bellinger is another good guy. The tight end that we drafted, like, been making some big catches and is a really good blocker too.
Blocking and tackling, but my friends, blocking and tackling.
Exactly, and that's what a certain guy on the other side with the Jaguars did not do enough, but we don't really mention it. We've only really mentioned his name a few times.
That's well. The thing is, I'm not to be boring I don't want to bore people with my fantasy lineups, but he's in this week for me at the tight end spot. Just because I have a weird feeling, it's like I'm hedging my bet here, and he's a good dude. I don't think there's any bad blood. I don't think people are going to boo him, whatever. But I don't like the idea of a Evan Ingram revenge game. Like I really don't like that connotation if you put on it. Trust me, we will be seeing that over Twitter all day. If he does anything even remotely good, forget about score a touchdown. It's going to be Evan Ingram revenge game all over the place. So I don't want to see that at all.
Yeah, I have a feeling your buddy LPG probably will agree with you on that one.
Yeah, Evan Ingram was a good dude, and I'll say this again. I'll go back to obviously he had that the drop against Philly that would have put us, in hindsight, would have put us in the playoffs that year against Tampa. If you look that out, to go back to the coaching of what this team is, there's always been talent on this team, right? There's always been some not great, some huge misses on the drafts, but also some talented picks in the draft. Like we got McKinney, Julian Love is showing his stuff. Obviously, AT has been amazing, and this year Saquon. We were in so many games. We lost so many games. I'll also put Dexter in there too as a good driver. Dexter, was it last year when the offsides against Washington on the field goal? Right? Was that last year?
Yeah, that was a year ago, I believe.
Me too. Like there was so many games, literally each of the last 3 seasons, where 4 games could have completely gone differently if it was for a little bit of coaching, a little bit of discipline, a play call that went the right way, or one catch, something like that. We're a totally different team if those things happen. Now we're on the other side of that, and you see how much more fun it is to be on the other side of that.
Well, yeah.
Tell me something happened in the Yankee game, Hank.
It is now 3-2. Glaber hit an RBI single.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm getting buzzed up over here. I was like, something definitely.
Now I'm starting to get my hopes up, even though obviously I'm kind of trying to be a little more level-headed with the Yankees. But in any event, let's talk about some of the players to watch. Now, Johnny and I kind of briefly touched upon this before we brought you on, but I'm going to ask this question for both of you. If there was a player to watch for each team that you have, give me one from the Jaguars and one from the Giants. And this is kind of a tradition that Tom usually does when he's on as the host. So,
right.
Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Jaguars is Travis Etienne. He is a pass catching back. He's a little scat back. That's the kind of thing that we could have trouble with, kind of like we had in the Dallas game. with that guy, whatever his name was, Dunlap or whatever his name was, that scored those 2 TDs. We're having trouble. Like we had trouble covering Mark Andrews in the tight end position. So if there's something like Evan Ingram, not Mark Andrews, but if you get the running back out of the backfield and some dump offs, I can see him having like those 6 to 8 catches that really put a thorn in our ass the entire time. So watch Travis Etienne because they have a kind of like a 2-headed monster at running back, and he's a good like 3rd down back type of guy. On our side, I think it's time. It's time to really hold our breath on Wan'Dale, because I had this conversation with LPG yesterday about Wan'Dale, and it just came to me. Like, Daniel Jones is your quarterback. He's not going to have a ton of time to throw because of the offensive line. And that he's not the best kind of just, faking out safeties and that sort of thing. He kind of stares down his receivers downfield a little bit. Wan'Dale he's a short possession type of receiver, drafted because of Daniel Jones, because of Daniel Jones' characteristics. We got this little guy who can go 5-7 yard outs and squeak in, kind of do some jet sweeps and that sort of thing. I think Wan'Dale was drafted because of Daniel Jones' strengths and weaknesses. So we saw that come out right away, and I was like, wait a second. They're using him perfectly in this offense right now. And Daniel Jones is comfortable dumping off 3-yard slants or little out patterns or that kind of wide receiver screen thing that scored the touchdown. So watch Wan'Dale. He could be the same kind of thing that I'm saying about with Etienne, a thorn in your ass, 3rd down possessions, these little 3-5 yard games that really add up. So watch Wan'Dale, watch Travis Etienne.
Absolutely. I like those choices. Johnny, who do you have?
Well, Etienne's a good choice because you know what, I think that's definitely a help for Trevor Lawrence. Being teammates in Clemson. If you remember last year, Etienne got hurt in the first preseason game and missed the entire season, and that was one of the major things that I think Lawrence missed there in Jacksonville. Yeah, I think you got to keep it very simple here with Jacksonville. You got to watch for their big playmaking wide receiver and Christian Kirk, who they signed. People were talking about him being them overpaying for him, but Jacksonville needed a potential deep guy, and Christian Kirk is that guy. So I keep an eye out for him. I think for the Giants, I think a player to watch here. I was talking about it on the defensive side. I think Dexter Lawrence. I think a key is one of the keys for me in this game is getting pressure to Trevor Lawrence, because I think he has that kind of ability where if he gets to be looking too comfortable in there, he's shown that he can throw some deep passes and make some big plays. I think he's only going to be improving. I think he didn't feel really comfortable last year until week 18, that game against the Colts, and you've seen him have some moments early on this year. Like I said, Jacksonville, they've been in every game this year. They just have not been able to close them out. But that's really something you have to watch. So I'm looking one offensive player, one defensive player, Christian Kirk for the Jags and Dexter Lawrence on the Giants side.
Dexter Lawrence and Christian Kirk. I like that. And hey, Sexy Dexy, as Tom calls it, has been huge for us on the defensive side. And all right, so for my players, I'm going to go with Josh Allen. He's been leading the Jaguars defense with 3 sacks, and somebody that the Giants offensive line is definitely going to be watching out for. But if you have noticed a pattern with why I'm taking Josh Allen, it's because on the Giants side, I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas. Why? Because I think he has been an absolute key reason as to why Saquon Barkley is having a renaissance. He has been a pillar among that line, and he's slowly emerged as one of the best left tackles in the league. So,
no question.
As Tom knows from me giving this for like the players to watch, I'm going to go big defensive end, and then offensive lineman for the.
That's going to be a good battle right there. That's going to be a good battle.
It is.
And, a lot of the fans are going to remember that that's who a lot of us wanted instead of Daniel Jones, right? Mm-hmm. Josh Allen was the pick that was on the board.
Yeah, one pick above.
And we passed on him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, because the Giants could have had both Josh Allen and Josh Allen.
To to be fair, that's kind of a hindsight 2020.
It is hindsight. I know. I mean, it's easy to say that now with both of them, but
I didn't know a lot about the defense of Josh Allen, but in that he dropped to us. I forget
Actually,
it was because the Jets picked. Who did the Jets pick? The Jets picked like a weird. Oh no, the Raiders. The Raiders picked.
No, it was the Raiders who took Cleveland Farrell.
Yes, and we're like
one of many failed Mike Mayock picks.
Yes, yeah.
And my mistake, Josh Allen, the defensive end who went to Jacksonville, he went after the Giants because he was there for the Giants. I said he went above them. I'm sorry, he went behind them. Yeah,
right. But we got gifted that, and a lot of fans thought that was going to be the pick. Just kind of like we got gifted, and it's just hard. Like, don't mess it up. He's right there for you. Now, I'm not saying Daniel Jones was a risk there, kind of was, but like just like this year's draft, when Thibodeau and Neal fell perfectly to us, right? Like, just don't mess it up. Just take the guys that we know are there that are going to do it. So I'm not, listen, Gettleman didn't act like that. He took Daniel Jones there. We have him now. He's very capable young man. Very great legs, right? Great runner. Got to do his right thing. He's smart. I feel like he just stares down his guys a little bit too much. And he also probably doesn't have a lot of open guys right now because we have no one out there running these routes. So very interesting. Josh Allen. Yeah. This is an interesting guy. We got Evan Ingram over there. We got Josh Allen over there. Last week we had JPP.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, you down with JPP?
It's gonna be an emotional game for Evan Ingram. If it was, oh man, what do you guys think? If it was here, he would get booed.
Oh, probably. But then again, there are probably going to be a lot of Giant fans down in Jacksonville to watch that game, so he might get booed there anyways.
You think he would get more boos at home? Probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
Fair share, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, let me bring up this comment that Chris has. Thank the gods Giants started good. Tired of the Yankees and Giants. Me too.
That's a great comment.
I know Tom might have his own thoughts because he's a Mets fan, but that's okay.
Mets are excited just to make it to October.
I mean, pretty much. And in any event, let's talk about some of the big keys to the games that you have. And Johnny, I'm going to start with you this time. What's your number one key to the game?
Well, I mean, if you've been watching throughout this entire season, one of the things you've noticed is with both teams, really, they've both been playing close games. I think the key to this game, really, it could very well be who has the ball late. You know what? It could come down to who has the ball last in the last 2 minutes, because these two teams, they both can win. But I don't think either team has the talent to blow another one out. So the key might be who has the ball within the last 2 minutes. And I think another one too, I'll give you a second one too, turnovers. I mean, I think it comes down to very simple. When you look at the Giants here, Daniel Jones has not been turning the ball over the last several weeks. And that's why I think, Mike, I was talking about this with Hank earlier. One of the reasons why I love Brian Daboll is that first game against Tennessee when Jones makes that very bad throw in the end zone, that back shoulder throw to Barkley, and gets intercepted. One of the things you see on that Fox broadcast right away is Daboll almost go all Tom Coughlin. And you know what? Yes. And I think from that moment on, one thing you notice about Jones is he's been limiting his mistakes. So if you can continue that, then I think you've definitely got a great chance to win this game. So limit the turnovers. There's really a few keys. Who has the ball last? Limit the turnovers, and you know what? We'll see. And if you can get pressure as well.
Yeah, I mean, no team that loses the turnover battle is supposed to win. You know what I mean? We're not going to go out here and throw 2 picks and 2 fumbles and going to win. That's not going to be a good way to go about this when our offense is struggling to break 25 points. Key to the game, if you want to get to where we want to right now, I think a strong part of we're a second half team, obviously, so that's great. We want to keep it close, get in the second half. We want to get to that fourth quarter where it's a tie game, right? That would be, we'd almost be comfortable there. But in order to get there, we got to play, I think, a fairly low scoring game. So we're not going to be playing games in the 30s, which means we got to get to Trevor Lawrence. So
absolutely,
you got to get to Trevor Lawrence at least make him very uncomfortable. You can't give him too much time in there to go to. And you said earlier, Johnny, right? You can't, if you give him too much time, he's going to rip you up. Who they play? The Eagles. Did they play the Lions? What was that shootout they had? They had the Chargers.
Yeah.
The more time, and it turns out the Chargers aren't nearly as good as we all thought either. So that's why that game went into like the 30s. But you said Kirk on the outside. You got Evan Ingram, who is a football player. Let's just put that aside for our feelings aside. You give Trevor Lawrence too much time. He's the number one pick, right? He's a very talented. He's the second most talented person on this field after Saquon coming on Sunday. And you can't give him too much time. Get to him. Get Leonard Williams, who we haven't mentioned his name yet. Get Leonard Williams back to churning that line, making that O-line uncomfortable, and Dexter Lawrence doing the thing. And Thibodeau may be coming around now because, man, that guy can be he's lightning. His personality is lightning. So this D-line, put some pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Make him make the mistakes, and keep them scoring well. We win this game what do we need? How many points? I'm gonna put it on you, Hank, Johnny. How many points do we need to score to win?
I'm going to say around like 26, 27 maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking something along the lines of like 24-20, because really those are the kind of games the Giants play right now. One thing you've noticed too, also the Giants, they gave up 22 against Green Bay and 20 against Baltimore. Two teams that
you gave up 26 against Dallas, right? That was our highest.
Yes.
Right. So there you go. I mean, we got to score 25-26. That's what I would say. Not out of the question.
No.
Three touchdowns. 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals, something along those lines.
That's a possibility. Yeah.
I think if you put us into the high 20s, we'll be fine. We'll get that. We'll get that. I think that, but we're too talented on that D line. I think Thibodeau, he's an engine. I don't know what the Jags O line is. I don't know who he's going to be lined up against, but he is an engine, man. And what is this? His third or fourth game? Like, what game is this? Third game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, come on, he's a rookie too. So wait till he gets going, dude. Maybe I'll change it to Thibodeau. Whatever, Thibodeau. Get Trevor Lawrence.
So, as far as my main key to the game is, I have a few. Number one, I would say, is the one that I almost always say on the show, which is get off the field on third down. And the Giants actually did a good job with that last week. The Ravens were only 4 for 10 on third down conversions. And I would argue that was probably a difference between the Giants winning and losing that game. So I hope that continues. Number two, I would say to take advantage and score when you're in the red zone, because Mike Kafka has made some really good play calls with the Giants getting that far. And again, that definitely helped in their win over the Ravens last week. So I would say strike while the iron's hot and score while you're in the red zone, or cross the end zone, I should say. And then second
touchdowns
of all,
touchdowns in the red zone. Where, I mean, this Giants team for how freaking long was it? Oh, great play to get onto the 17-yard line, and then three plays field goal. I mean, that was our whole life. We were watching that. That was ridiculous.
So now let's get to the injury report. So I'm going to briefly run down the deal with all the players that have been on the injury report. So Cordell Flott did not practice due to calf issues. Kenny Golladay also did not practice due to knee. I don't know if he's going to be playing, but then again, it's not like we need him anyways. Kadarius Toney had hamstring issues, also did not practice, and Jason Pinnock had an ankle injury, did not practice. And the other player that did not practice was Oshane Ximines, who is dealing with quad issues. And
really?
As far as players with limited practice, Azeez Ojulari was dealing with calf issue, but I think he will still be able to play. Saquon Barkley had a shoulder issue, but I think, again, we'll still be seeing him back. John Feliciano had groin issues, but again, limited practice. I think he'll be fine. Same with Andrew Thomas, who was dealing with an elbow injury. And as far as the Jaguars, Jamal Agnew and Shaquille Griffith did not practice because Agnew had a knee injury and Griffin was dealing with back issues. And then Folorunso Fatukasi, I think that's his name. He was dealing with a quad injury, had limited practice. Devon Hamilton had a foot injury, also had limited practice. Marvin Jones Jr. had a hamstring injury, limited practice, did not play either. And again, I'm going to mispronounce this guy's name. Foyesade Oluokun, I think that's his name, also had a limited practice due
good.
to calf injury. Again, I don't know what it is with these names, but that's how it goes. And now, last but not least, let's get to your game predictions. I am going to start with Johnny first and foremost.
Well, again, like I've been saying all show long, these two teams play close games throughout. I mean, I think the one really blowout was really Jacksonville over the Chargers, but these two teams play close games. This could very come down to the last 2 minutes. The line in this game, I think, is totally disrespectful that the Jags are 2.5-point favorite. I kind of get why, because they're the home team, and they do have kind of convincing wins again, a convincing win against the Chargers. But at the same time, and if you've been watching the Giants play, a lot of the talk has been that the Giants are unlucky, they don't deserve to be, or the worst 5-1 team. I think that is a bunch of baloney. But I look at this game. I think this game is going to come down to a very, very close game. But I like the Giants to come out of this one 24-20.
Okay.
Good score. All right. I mean, obviously, I have us winning. This is what I'm going to tell you also, too, because I've been getting into the gambling a lot. I'm looking at these different lines, and I just like putting together parlays and stuff. In fact, I got to check my parlay right now. What's the score of that game, the football game?
Which one? The Cardinals. I saw the Saints were up 7-6.
You know who scored that touchdown?
No, I do not. I just took a look at the score.
So I am going to not only take the Giants. Is it just seeing 2.5 now, Johnny? I was seeing 3, but I'm not only going to take the Giants +3. I'm going to actually buy the line out to like 9, because I think there's a possibility here. I just psyched myself into it when I was talking about the D line. There's a possibility here that we can get them so uncomfortable offensively that we can just make them miserable and end up winning this game by a big margin. So I'm going to take Giants 27, Jaguars 13.
Oh, nice.
Big line, +10. Buy it out. You give me $10, it'll get you like 300.
So just a couple of things real quick, Mike. The line right now, Jacksonville's favored by 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now, and it's 14-6 New Orleans midway through the second quarter. Taysom Hill has a touchdown catch, and Shaheed has a 53-yard touchdown catch from Andy Dalton. So that's the scoring from the New Orleans side.
Oh, Nikes. And it was field goals on the other side?
Yes. 2 field goals for Arizona.
Okay. I had a big parlay that I put. I think it was Zach Ertz to score the first touchdown. So if that doesn't hit, then the whole parlay. So that didn't happen. But I did have Taysom anytime in a different one. So I got to go check that. So that's one of those. That's good. All right, Hank, what's your game predictions, man?
All right. So first of all, let me get to Tom and Sam. Unfortunately, we do not have a recorded video of Tom and Sam making their picks. That is obviously, as I mentioned, they could not be here with us on this week. Sam unfortunately had some family stuff that she had to deal with, but hopefully she will be back next week. So Sam, I hope you're doing well if you're watching this. And
we're thinking of you, Sam. Yep.
I know she has the Giants winning, and Tom, of course, also has the New York Giants winning. I believe he has a similar score as you guys. He has the Giants winning by a score of 23-17. And, normally I hate when I'm making unanimous predictions with regards to an NFL game score, but unfortunately I can't really say I disagree with any of you guys, because I have the Giants winning by a score of 22-16. I know that's kind of a weird score, but you figure it's going to be a lower defensive scoring defensive struggle. So that's the score that I have the Giants winning. And this is probably the first time in a while I've really felt like I had the chance to pick the Giants, but given the way they've been playing.
Hey, wait a second. You guys on this show, do you guys do game predictions every time, and you predict, you choose the other team to win sometimes?
Or occasionally, we try to be realistic.
I don't know if I can handle that. I would have to always pick the Giants.
Mike, I'll say on my end, when I made my predictions on my show, a couple of weeks ago when the Giants were in London, I had the Packers winning that game by like a 31-20 score, and that one fortunately I got that one totally wrong. But
yeah, so
okay, you should be thinking
against these G-men, baby. Now they're getting, they're getting to now understand. Like I said, We had the talent. You need the coaching. You put these guys in positions to succeed. They're NFL football players. Any given Sunday, they're in a pool of 20-ish teams that can win any given Sunday.
Absolutely.
That's what, right? Like, seriously, you wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville won. They're not blowing us out. We're not blowing them out. Maybe my score was a little rambunctious, 27-13, but there's only a couple teams. It's only the Bills and the Chiefs and maybe a very, very healthy Chargers team and then the Eagles. And that's it. Like, I don't see any, like, that's the teams I'm like, all right, those are the class, and everyone else is any given Sunday. And our schedule, I can't wait to play the Eagles. If we keep steamrolling this, if we come out of these next 4 games, I don't know, 3-1, and now, now we're 8-2, whenever we play the Eagles, it's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to play the Eagles.
I think you're right, though. I think it's those 4 teams, and then really everybody else, except if you're Carolina, probably that would be it. I'd say
right.
I mean, look, I live down here in South Carolina, so I follow the Carolina Panthers really close. They live up there. They work up there in Charlotte. I'll tell you, they are the worst team, and I'm the one I feel is really big because I had them winning 8 games this year. So, and
that was great that they were on our schedule, and that was our home opener. And that was a very ugly game, but it's like we worked kinks out. So definitely schedule is coming into play here, fellas. Like, our schedule is nice, but we beat the Packers and we beat the Ravens, and those were 2 of the hardest games on our schedule, or at least that we saw.
Yeah, so, and that game against Carolina, I think also just showed you though, like, and you've seen this throughout the season with the Giants, is really all 3 areas of the team: offense, defense, and special teams, all contributing. Really, I mean, when's the last time you were able to be so confident about the Giants' special teams? Whether it's been their punting team, their returning team, or Graham Gano being kicking. I mean, he's had some very solid 50+ yard kicks this year.
Graham Gano is amazing. I still don't really like what we do or what we don't do in the return game.
That's always been something, right?
Return game is brutal. But then again, like, we got these guys under a microscope. I'm sure if we were fans of other teams, there's probably not that great. The return games aren't that great across the league. But we're on top of these guys, right? I did want, Tony, I think, could return, but like you put him as a returner, you're risking even more injury. So I don't know what you're going to do, but he to me could be a quintessential returner. And we asked Stephen Baker why he thought Tony wasn't returning punts, or at least punt returning, and he thought that he said that either he doesn't know like his kind of like assignment, like, like how to actually field the punt, like how to actually like bring it in 99.9% of the time, and know when to fair catch, and know when to take a step back, and know when to read it. So we're like, yeah, the guy's a dynamic athlete when he gets the ball in his hands, but he's got to adjust to the NFL game and not be hurt all the time.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I want to thank you again for joining us on Big Blue Avenue. It is always a pleasure when we have you on the show. And before we let you go, we have to do our normal tradition and ask you to please plug yourself.
Plug myself, Mike Vivolo, Team Vivolo. We do the True Blue Show, which is kind of podcast, kind of Instagram, kind of charity work. Like, we kind of just do like this multimedia thing. Starting up guys, I'm gonna have you. You're gonna love this gambling show that is. I can't reveal all of it. What it has been in the works for a while now. It will be dropping hopefully very, very soon. It's gonna be awesome. My partner in the show, she is awesome. You're gonna like that. We're gonna be at tailgates. We're gonna be doing a lot of fun stuff. But I don't want to go overboard and announce anything. It is coming soon. And then, check this out. Hold on, stay right there. Oh, you want to see something awesome? Stay right there.
Yes. Oh boy.
I love this tease.
Oh boy, this is keeping me in suspense.
All right. So first of all, we're also working on these. We're also working on these Giants chains. Right. Nice. So these will be coming out soon. All right. I got this from a DJ in Miami last year for the Dolphins Giants. We went down, and there's a DJ that had this behind the booth, and I was like, bro, I need to have that. He's like, no problem, $80. I was like, done. Whatever you want, I have to have that chain. So then I went. That was right before we were like in some club tailgating. It was like a tailgating in a Miami club, and we walked into the game, and that game was terrible too. But ever since then, everywhere I go with this, people offer me 100. Hey, dude, I'll give you 100 right now. 100 right now. 100 right now. So if I had these, I would be making thousands of dollars in the tailgate. The second thing that we do have, and if you guys want one, let me know. I have. Check this out. LT Hawaiian shirts.
Oh my.
Nice.
Oh,
Right.
hold on. I didn't even show you my jersey.
Nice. Lawrence Taylor custom Hawaiians. You cannot get them anywhere but just with me. Even on the inside.
That
And
is
then
amazing.
stay right there.
Oh my. We should do a drum roll for like suspense.
I was gonna say we need a drum roll but wait, there's more.
Saquon Hawaiians.
Oh my
Oh baby,
gosh.
look at that.
I should have worn this on. I forgot. I have a whole bag of these things. So we have a couple Saquon Hawaiians. They're $100 each. Saquon Hawaiians and LT Hawaiians. And next game I'm at, I'm sure they'll be sold out in about the first 10 minutes. I'm in the parking lot.
Yes.
Yeah, I got some swag, all custom. This is hard to find though. We can't find someone to make it. We were at one designer. You know, we can find someone to make it, but like the price doesn't add. You know what I mean? They want to make like 1,000 of them or some shit. Yeah, but that's what we're up to, man.
Like,
wow.
that is awesome. I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think you've pretty much left us mind blown. But yeah, Mike, thanks once again for joining us. Always a pleasure. Thank you for plugging yourself. And hey, hopefully we will have you back sometime in the near future, whether it be later on this season or sometime next season.
Anytime, brothers. Anytime. And let me tell you what. Hold on, another thing. Hold on, one more. Why would
Okay, go.
The late great Billy Mays is saying, but wait, there's more. Oh, Billy.
Oh
man, one of my favorite pitchmen too.
All right, we got some charity stuff. Well, first of all, this is from my boy Jimmy Ranzano at the Sports Chill Screw Hugh shirts.
That's nice.
Right. And then for charity, for if it's you guys or whoever, if you have anyone who has little kids, this is my children's book that I wrote called Goodnight Canton. It's a children's book about the Hall of Fame. And of course we have, some guys that jersey you may be wearing in the book.
This one?
This is an LT on LT's page. We have autographed LT. So LT autographed these books for us, and the money goes to the Otis Anderson Scholarship Foundation. So I think we only have 2 left. 2 autographed copies. I'm keeping one for myself, but I am the author, and my friend Jonathan Bartlett is the illustrator right there. And if you ever read Goodnight Moon, I don't know if you guys have kids, but this is exactly in the same rhyme scheme as.
That's so clever. Uh-oh, did he freeze on us?
I think we're losing him, yeah.
Oh, never mind. He's still there.
You're back.
Yep.
LT signed them, and then hold on. I think I got one more.
I think the internet was like so mind blown by the LT.
Yes.
That's why he froze.
Hold on, one more thing.
Oh.
But wait, there's even more.
Wait, there's more. There's more. This is all for the Otis Anderson Charity Foundation. LT autograph books, and check out this big card that's signed by LT. It's like a huge football card.
Oh, look at that.
And there's the LT auto. So these are all 200. 200 for a book, 200 for this thing, and 100 for the Hawaiians. If anyone's interested, wanted me to plug myself, Hank. I'm plugging.
We love it. We want to get you to plug yourself as much as possible. But yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Always a pleasure.
Mike, thank you so much, man. That was great stuff.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Go Giants. 27-13.
Yes. Big Blue. Let's go Big Blue. That's right.
All right.
Now what do we do?
That was Mike Vivolo, and
wow.
As always, he is such a great guest and did not let us down. He provided some great insights about the New York Giants, and I love hearing about a lot of the charity work he does, and I love seeing some of the episodes on his podcast. He is the real deal and a legitimate Giants fan. And what a guy. And folks, once again, that'll be pretty much it for this episode of Big Blue Avenue. Johnny, I want to thank you for hopping on this show, and can you please plug yourself as well? Although, unfortunately,
absolutely, Hank. Yes, it was great. It was great to fill in. Tom, Sam, we missed you both, but it was an honor and pleasure to fill in for you both. Yes, you can catch me when I also fill in every now and then here on Review and Preview. You know, this is always my home network. You know, I'm actually heading up to New York, Long Island this weekend. I'll be not that far away from where the show originally started about a little over 11 years ago. But you can catch me on Game On the Empty the Bench podcast network with Mr. Hank and Victor himself right there. We are on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern there on the Empty the Bench podcast network, where you can also catch, you know, I do segments called Monty Moments. We had one that dropped today about the college football scene, which has been absolutely crazy. You know, we also do our pro football picks every Friday against the spread. So we do a bunch of content there. With my main show, Game On Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern there. And then, of course, like I said, the other stuff as well. So it's just a little bit of what we do over there. But you can catch me over there. And, of course, back here every now and then at my home, where it all started here on Review and Preview.
Now, before we go, I do want to mention our sponsor. It is the app BetUS. You can sign up with our promo code JOIN125. Please click on the link below if you're interested. Get all your sports betting anytime, anywhere, straight from your mobile device. And please download the app of BetUS. And of course, please don't forget to follow us on all of our social medias. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Review and Preview Sports. And of course, Big Blue Avenue. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And please don't forget to hit that big red button. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please don't forget to leave your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, you have just watched another episode of Big Blue Avenue. On behalf of Johnny Montalbano, Tom Scavetta, Sam Cardona, I'm Hank and Dictor, and let's go Big Blue.